You're listening to Muzilog Muzik Radio, home of indie artists.
Keep it locked.
As we continue to make it a great day, whatever time it is on your end of the planet, I'm Samuel Archer, your host. It's the Anytime, Any Day Radio Show. Shout out to the International Village. Shout out to the Anytimers. The Cyber Life Junkies. How you guys doing? And the Straight Shooters. You know, no one ever gave me additional names from since what we had the last time. So, you know, they sound T-shirt-ish, you know. Shout out to those who picked up their Anytime, Any Day gear. We're loving you. We're loving you. We're loving you. Yes, yes, yes. You guys see the value in what's being done. Shout out to all of you. I know you guys missed me for a little bit. It's been a little minute. This is episode 10, by the way. You know, when I did the first 9 episodes, and it's a continual experiment, you know. You have an okay mic, or just, you know, you have some stuff and you put it to work. You know, you have an idea, you start with what you have. You don't have to wait till you get all the lights and monitors, all the big things people expect you to have. Well, not people, that you might envision, you know. Sometimes you have to start with what you have. You know, get it all together. Say, all right, we're gonna get an episode out of this. And I did that for the first 9 episodes. You know, just, I mean, technically, if you listen to the different shows and, you know, you want to get into the quality, we're not talking about the content here, you know, the quality of the, you know, what's the quality level like? You know, I'll get some really good, some good critical information. But it's not about that this time around. This time around, the saga continues. You know, I'm still experimenting. I thought I'll get a new mic. You know, so you know, if you believe in what it is you're doing, you gotta invest in yourself. You know, I thought I'll get a new mic and stand and a new interface. I still have the old headphones though. It seems like, and by the way, I buy these cheap headphones, but they look really cool when I do my interviews. And by the way, I'm still drinking coffee, still looking for that company that wants to rock with me, you know, want to sponsor a show. You know, because you're a coffee person, you know, by all means, you know, let's rock a little bit. Let's get it all. Let's put it all on the court. Get it on the court. You know, get the b-ball people working it in. Shout out to my people in the UK, TNT, Barbados, Jamaica, Belize, Guyana. Yeah, we have a nice global village growth happening. Yeah, we're gonna get some good feedback here. I still get heckled by a couple of my colleagues, you know. Like, yeah, listen to you talk to yourself for 2 hours. They just like to rub that in. See, they don't know that there's a place called Radioland that you don't get to see. You just imagine that you're broadcasting to the people out there. I think, you know, you got that voice, that soothing voice, you know. Yeah, you know, we have a lot going on. We have a lot going on, and I just like to, you know, when it's time to unplug, you know, I just work my way to where it is right now. And this is such a relaxing place, you know, you unplug and talk about some different things. Talk about things that you don't have to worry about the next 5 hours, you know. Sometimes you just got to go there. And that's what we're doing. And while we're at it, you know, you're chilling out and you're spending some time with me, you know, shooting the breeze. They normally say something else, but I don't want to say that on here. We're still keeping it clean, you know. PG ratings. And once in a while I might say something edgy, but that's once in a while. Yeah, that's some good coffee. And I think I shared with you guys in the last episode that I'm using molasses in my coffee now. And I actually just refilled my molasses cup. I have a cup where I put all the molasses in. And that's been working out. Those of you who are familiar with molasses, if you grew up using molasses, you'll notice that every time you get a bottle, or maybe over time, you'll just notice that there's a molasses stain on the bottom of the cupboard, or it's, you know, wherever you put the bottle. Now, I know the molasses isn't going through the glass. And I'm very careful as to if I'm going to have any molasses remain on the rim of the glass, of what's, you know, of the holder it's in, or the bottle it's in. But for some strange reason, the molasses, it starts settling on the outside where the bottle would be. Now, I don't know if the molasses is marking the spot and say, this is my spot, put the bottle back here. And then Mother Nature comes in, like an ant or two, and it starts signaling to be, hey, there's some sugar over here, you know, molasses. But anyway, I didn't want to have any spots, so I said, you know, let me try a cup. I got this enamel cup, a big one, like a, I don't know, it's like a mug. It's almost like those teacups your grandfather used to drink tea in the morning. Well, actually, that's not the great-great-great-grandfather, because their tea in the morning looked very different. That was like a mug of juice that could feed the family. I guess that's what they used to drink when them drinking tea. So let's bring it closer. You know, so the mug is maybe 2 times the regular size of a coffee mug of what we would use today. And so I put some molasses in that, and I was doing some research, and I wondered, you know, what if I could put a little honey in there too? You know, would it be a good combination? And the research said, yeah, looks like, you can do a blend. And I'm happy I did the blend because, between the taste of the coffee bean and the, sort of like the aftertaste of the other things, the molasses and the honey, it gives it a nice savory vibe, if you get what I mean. Yeah. And that's for the coffee drinkers, if you're into the whole coffee vibe, then yeah, by all means get your act together on that. So we're going to continue spreading love the Brooklyn way. And we're going to talk about the things that I like to talk about. I have some good news about the YouTube channel that we're developing. We have surpassed 2,000 subscribers. I'm going to give a round of applause for that, And of course, I'm going to say, help us to get to 3,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so now. The link would be in the description. And I know those of you who've been listening to the show would probably say yes, because we don't do links in the bio. Yeah, but we have surpassed 2,000 subscribers. What we have to do, though, is increase our watch time. So, on the journey to getting the channel monetized, we're putting in that work. So, what we have to encourage the audience to do, you guys tuning in from different parts of the world, is each one share one. You guys like that? Each one share one? Yeah, I like that. Each one share one. Meaning, don't worry about sharing it to 10 or 20 people. Just share it to one person. Just, hey, check out this radio show this guy is doing. And he's talking to himself for 2 hours, by the way. But he's really, really entertaining. You could sell it however you could sell it, right? Sell the idea. Yeah, so that's beautiful. I remember also sharing with you guys that the Muzilog Magazine podcast is also on a chart. There's a chart called, there's a site called Million Podcasts. And we were in the 80s. I think we were 87 when I found out about it. We were at 87. And then I checked in again and we moved up to 85. And then I checked in this week and we're up to 82. We are moving on up. Okay, shout out to the Jefferson lovers out there. Yeah, those of us who enjoyed watching the Jeffersons. Moving on up to the east side. I don't think we're not getting a piece of that pie at all. We're not, apparently. I thought we were getting a piece of the pie. We're getting crumbs of the pie. Let's go with crumbs. We're getting some crumbs. And some people are even upset about the crumbs. They just don't want us to get anything at all. That's kind of sad. When you get a little piece of the pie, and they come and take the backfill a lake and just put it all over your living area, and just run a lake over where you live. No one ever come and ask you, hey, is it all right that we do this? No, they just do it. It's just funny, it's funny. And then people come in and, especially when we're having our conversations online, and they just come in and just share. And you're like, yeah, this is not for you. Well, why you have an opinion about this? Okay. They just jump in like we don't have nothing. Yeah. So we have to adjust the game a little bit and work the game differently. And instead of building a community in the valley, we're gonna have to build it on the mountain. We would build it on the mountain. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I saw a series recently. I didn't know I would enjoy it that nice. It was pretty good. What's that brother's name that played in Black Panther? In the first Black Panther. He was the father of Killmonger. He's in the first part of the film. And he ended up getting killed. His brother came and took him out. And his name is... Oh, wow, he didn't even make the first... Oh, yes, Sterling K. Brown. Yes, Sterling K. Brown. He's in this a series, and I think it's called Paradise. And he is brilliant. He is brilliant in Paradise. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Plays, I gotta lift our people up that's doing their thing, man. Just lift them up. Regardless of if you like the dynamic. The dynamic is, we all gotta fit in where we can at some point. So he's in this series, and I don't want to give it away, but it relates to what I'm talking about now. And we may have to think a little bit in that direction, So instead of building below sea level, when we get in a piece of property, let's make sure it's above sea level. Make it a little challenging. Let's do like the Tower of Confusion. Let's take it up. Let's go to the stars. Let's go closer. Pyramid style, Yeah. So a couple of updates. We have some new episodes of the Muzilog Magazine podcast. And I actually interviewed a few people recently that I think is going to be, worth your while. We just launched the Eric Deutsch interview. That one did really, really well on LinkedIn. I'm getting a nice little audience on LinkedIn of late. And John Fadum, guitarist John Fadum, keyboardist Eric Deutsch. And I had the honor to interview Jesse J. And Jesse J is a saxophone player. And interestingly, it's interesting how life turns out. When I wrote for Examiner back in the day, which would be, I think, around 2011, maybe 2011, 2012, I started writing for Examiner. Now, the Examiner doesn't exist. Well, you know what? Let me not say that. online I'm seeing that someone actually bought they bought the whatever it was. But the Examiner was something like the Huffington Post, where it would just be contributing writers, and so you had Examiner New York, Examiner Philly, Examiner DC, Examiner LA. Every state had a couple of aspiring journalists and writers that would write articles, and these articles would go up. They'll be posting as much as we are, and the readership was a little bit over 2 million people, I think, either per week or per day or something like that. But anyway, I would write for Examiner, and I had Muzilog, the website, muzilog.com, and I started writing. I ended up on the journalist list. I became one of those go-to persons for Concord Jazz. That now I don't know if they're still a subsidiary of Universal Music Group, but pretty much they handle a lot of jazz artists from contemporary to traditional jazz. So anyway, we're getting back to Jessie J. She had released a record called Hot Sauce, and she's also from the Latina experience. Shout out to my I would say my Hispanic audience. Lots of love to you, And let me see. So, and the reason why I remember the Hot Sauce album is that she worked with a musician that is an idol for me. And that musician is Joe Sample. And I think her record was one of the records that he worked on before he passed on. I had a Rushmore of keyboardists. So, you guys know I'm a keyboard player. And in the top tier, where Herbie Hancock is there, and he's still alive, thank God. But you had George Duke, and you also had Joe Sample. So George Duke has passed on, and Joe Sample has passed on. Shout out to their respective families if they're tuning in. But anyway, he had worked on that project, and we never got around to doing that interview back then. And I was so excited to have that interview done this past week. This was really, really good. So you guys should look out for that interview. Jessie J, and her latest CD is called Terra Nova. Terra Nova, which means new land, or I think when I was researching the name and the project, and also the approach of how she did this new record, to me, I think more like new ground. She did a couple of things that she didn't do in the process of recording the record. So you guys would want to definitely stay tuned for that. Muzilog Magazine Podcast, you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on Apple. And I have additional links in the description area that you guys can go and check it out. We're now on Deezer. For those of you who have Deezer, you can get all the episodes are there as well. And I was working towards getting it on iHeart, and I think the process is still happening. But it's part of the growing pains when you're doing this stuff. Yeah, it's part of the growing pains. So wherever you can tune in and get it, and just let's make it happen. Let's just get it popping and everything. Yeah. So, we're still on the schedule, depending on what day it is, Saturdays, it's spiritual Saturdays, so all day. It's gospel and worship and praise and records like that. On Sunday, we still do the Soca Sunday or Calypso. And there's a couple of dancehall records that could, fit the vibe as well. So we give them a little love. And then Monday, it's Reggae Monday. Yeah. So we're still working that timetable. It seems to resonate with the audience. Looking at the numbers, where people religiously would tune in at certain times. We still do New Music Tuesdays. So if you're an artist and looking to find a station that will support your indie endeavors, Muzilog Muzik Radio is that place. And, send your music in. We'll definitely like to put it in rotation. We consider ourselves the home of indie artists. So yeah, by all means, get your music in. Now, I have a feeling we're going to take Wednesdays and do it as a jazz Wednesday. Maybe call it Jazzy Wednesdays or something. I'll keep you guys in tune on that. See how that would come about. Now, when you're doing one of those days, you say you're going to do a day with my recent radio experience. It's all a learning experience for me. Imagine that I'm learning at my age to program a radio station that's running 24/7. Imagine that. So you got to have enough content. That's the thing, is to have enough content that, if people are tuning in, you can keep their attention, for if they tune in if they tune in for like 2 minutes, or they're tuning in for the long haul, or they're tuning in, they find the station and they rip the knob off. I mean, however you do it, something interesting has to be happening. It can't just be, well, it's a playlist, So that's something that I have to work on, and we have the technology to make that happen now. So that's beautiful, And I did mention in the beginning that I did a new purchase of a mic. So I'm also testing. I'm actually doing a show testing how this mic would work. It seems like it's going to be a good vibe. It's sort of looking good. It has a professional look in here. Wires and cables and, all types of USB, connecting, it looks really wired here. So it looks like it's real, Yeah. So I would let you guys know if we're going to rock on that, in terms of the whole jazz. And I'm interviewing a lot of jazz artists of late. It shouldn't be long before I can really do like a good 24 hours of really good jazz music. And the funny thing too is that jazz would be like a unicorn. And I say that because if Muzilog Muzik is going to be the home of indie artists, jazz is a market where it's somewhat indie in nature. But, the artist may have a record deal that might be major, so So all of that I have to sort out, because I also want to be true to the concept of what Muzilog is, you know. So we can't just say, well, we're the home of indie artists and then we're spinning, you know, somebody that's considered major. So all that is going to be make it interesting as we prep it. But if we decide to work through it and make it happen, you know, stay tuned. And it would be a jazzy Wednesday. All right. So remember that when you're hanging out with me, you know, we're doing like a 2-hour show. I've had a few people that they think the show should be shorter and all of that, and I respect their point of view. I do. I really do. Not that I don't want to. But I feel like it's like, you know, I grew up in a time when music used to be close to 6 minutes. I mean, now you're lucky if the song makes it to 1.5 minutes. I'm serious. Like, if you you look at an album today and it's like they're not even hitting that 3-minute mark, you know. And I think that the short and sweet thing, you know, it works if you're doing clips and, you know, people are, you know, you want to do like reels and stuff for where the technology is. But I like, you know, when I'm doing a show, you know, I want to like really do it, you know. Like, you just do a show. You have an intro, you talk, you know, sip some coffee, talk some more. I really get into the conversations. The whole microwave thing people are doing today, I don't know. You know, it's a different vibe. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But, you know, now that's for the Anyday Radio Show. Not, you know, I don't want people to confuse that with the Muzilog efforts. Although what I'm doing here is somewhat under the Muzilog banner. You know, so, you know, just giving you the difference here. But yeah, you're hanging out for approximately 2 hours. You know? So it's not a quickie show, but like I said to you guys in previous episodes, you can have a quickie during the show. Those of you who have special needs, you know, those of you with special needs. By the way, if you haven't yet, you can go get a copy of my book, Hybrid Executive, at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and other online platforms. If you want the physical book, you can get that directly from me, or you can also get it, you can get a PDF version, and those links would be in the description. I also have a beginner's piano book. It's called Nimble Fingers Music Workshop Beginner's Piano. That is also in the description. So, you know, you can get that situated. Well, those of you who want to do piano, you know, I'm thinking once you have life, you know, there's time. Once you have life, there's things you can get done. And again, music is supposed to be a fun experience. Although some of us, we take it seriously, you know, it's a discipline. We practice, we prep ourselves. You know, we do a lot of scales and rudiments and theory and Dorians and chords, and we go in. But it's also supposed to be a fun experience, you know. Sometime this week I went to the Guitar Center because, you know, I told you guys I had to do a little upgrading in here. And this was like a short break I had because my workload was just crazy. But I ran in there and I'm in the keyboard section, you know, so all the pianos and so on. And I heard something that caught my ear. I heard like this little energy just playing the high notes, you know. So those of you who know the piano, to the right, you know, is where the tones or the pitch of the keys are higher. So you hang this high energy, and you could tell it's a child playing, but the energy tells you that this person playing, if they take piano seriously, it's going to be a wrap. She looked like she was a little young lady, yeah. So I stopped what I was doing and I said, I have to see this. So I went to the piano, and she's sitting next, you know, she wasn't sitting, she was standing by the piano, and her dad was there. You know, he's sitting with her and just watching her on it. And so I come up, and, you know, I'm an approachable guy. You know, I walk up to the dad and say, hey, I think you have a star here. He says, yeah. And so then I ask him, I say, you play the piano? He said, you know, he said, my parents sent me a few times and I didn't want to do it. So I looked at him. He was a Jamaican brother, by the way. I looked at him and I said, you know what to do, right? He said, what? I said, when I go home, find a leather belt and just beat yourself. And we both started cracking up. So anyway, I turned my attention to the young lady, and I gave her a quick 2-minute session. And I showed her how to find her way around the keyboard, and showed her where middle C was. You know, that's how we get started. And so she was able to find C, and then now when she found C and she could find all the other C's on the keyboard, I said, well, I will bring your seat down. And then I positioned her hand and showed her how to position her hand, and showed her the five note scale right there, C, D, E, F, G. And that was a quick, you know, and she picked it up so fast. I looked at the dad. I said, I said, you're going to have to get one of these. And we both started, you know, when parents start talking, especially those of us who raise the children, you know, there's a thing that you just know, yeah, I got to go find this money now, right? Yeah, it's that I got to find this money conversation. And so I hope he follows through with it. That was like a really cool situation. But you know, even if you're in your 60s or your 70s, you know, you want to sit by the keyboard and just mess with the keys. You know, I encourage that. You know, music it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We also have a business card promotion package, you know, $150 for the year, and we'll put you on all our circulars and also feature you on our website. You know, that would also help us, you know, continue bringing the nice content that you like, week after week, day after day, minute after minute, hour after hour. You know, so consider, you know, rocking with us on the platform. Let us know what business you're into. I'm interested to know what it is you're rocking with. You know, what it is you do. Are you into real estate? You're a barber. You're a DJ. You fix TVs. Now, do people still fix TVs? I don't know. I think TVs got to the point where it's not working again. You just throw it out. You know, you don't really take it to fix anymore. But hey, are you an electrician? Are you into shipping? Are you into traveling? You know what? Those of you who are into traveling, you know, you go on cruises and take a little vacay here and there. You know, there are people that I know. No, I don't do it like that. I'm not really a vacay guy like that. But if you are, let me know. I do have some some information that you might be interested in. I think it would be a benefit to you. Yeah. So if you're into that type of stuff and you're looking for new ideas, I can point you in the right direction. But again, we do have the business card promo package. So reach out. Well, again, go to the description and work it out there. Now we also have hybrid executive gear, and you can get your own anytime, any day radio show T-shirt too. So if you want to like really be true to the vibe, by all means, knock yourself out. Hallelujah. And we also have artist promo packages. You're up and coming artists. We have a package for 200 and we have a package for 500. And again, there's a link in the description. You will go to that area and see which one fits what it is you're doing the best. And, so on top of getting you into rotation, there are other strategies that we can implement to help expose your music. You gotta get more ears, more eyeballs on your brand. And the more eyeballs, the better, because people in the audience are probably looking for what it is you have to bring. Right? It's not just how you see it. It might be another way. And I do encourage artists to look at different means and ways to market your music. So for example, if you dealt with something personal, you have some people there, they might be diabetic, or they may suffer from sickle cell, or they may have some sort of an ailment, or maybe it's a mental thing, maybe it's psychological. And as an artist, if you commit a few of your songs to certain topics, it can put you in a different environment where you can reach out to people and there's not much competition for you. So let's say that you probably ended up getting type 2, or you were close to getting type 2 diabetes. And I think, and then, you guys can correct me, but with type 2, it has more to do with your lifestyle opposed to it being something that's genetic for you, right? It comes down to the lifestyle of your diet and things of that nature. And you were able to overcome that, or maybe you're in the process of changing your lifestyle about it, and you put some material in that, let's say 2 or 3 songs just within that topic, you can end up in an environment where you're discussing that actual topic, but it's not in the music world. It's in a different place. And once you can take it to a different place, you can really shine, because you can talk about the topic that you're dealing with, whatever that might be. And then at the same time, you can let people know, well, you're also a musician and you just dropped some new music. Or if people want to check out what it is you have, they can go to your website, or they can go here or there, wherever it is you have it online. And that's one way to get people interested in what it is you're doing. So there's a couple of things that you can do. I like to use the other approach I'll talk about real brief. As this one works really good for the gospel circuit. If it works for the gospel circuit because you got churches, and churches across the country means that's a market right there. You can hit different churches, sing your song, and get it out there. Now, again, how do you get more eyeballs or ears? Now in business we say eyeballs, but really and truly, we don't see the music, we hear the music. That's interesting. You don't see the music, you hear it. Yeah. So if you can have more ears listening, then you increase the chances of people that would like what it is you have to offer as an artist. So let's say, for example, you put out a single or a record, a gospel album, and it's either something that a soloist could do, or maybe a choir could do. It all depends on what it is. The other thing is to think. You got to be intentional. You got to be intentional about it. What I would suggest is, depending on the songs, what you'd want to do is also make the performance track available. All right. Now, funny enough, or weird enough, I remember living through a moment where people didn't want to share their performance track. And there's a good chance that could have been a mistake. There was this thing, this is my song and this is my. But you want people to get involved with your music. You want people to, how do you get those people involved? Well, you have to ease up on the my. Unless you're doing a Johnny Gill, my, because the lady was wearing a red dress that looked really good. And you just had to say, oh my. But, you gotta get out from that selfish approach and make your performance track available. Now, there's a lot of singers out there that's not even looking to do a record deal or looking to put out records. You just have a lot of people that sing for different events. They sing for church, they sing for weddings, they sing for funeral. That's just that circuit. They do karaoke and that's their thing. When you make your performance track available, it makes it easier for someone to say, I want to sing this record tonight. I like this song and I want to sing this at this event I'm going to do. Or if it's a gospel song, then okay, they want to sing it in church. This particular weekend that's coming up, they did want to sing your song. So if you can work it out where other people can have access to sing or perform your material, it exposes you more. It puts you out there, and get you to get more eyeballs or ears on who you are. And then, people talk. Someone might say, hey, that song you sang, who's the artist of that song? And then they may say, oh, this is such and such. They just dropped a record. I thought the song was nice and decided to sing it. Now, compare that to if you're the only person performing your song. How many times you think you got to go on stage? But what if you have another 3, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 15 other people that like your song and would like to sing it at an event? They're multiplying you again. So instead of you having to go to all these different places to sing your song, to have people to tune into what your record is, just imagine, again, 5 or 10 other people singing your song in different places. It helps to spread you out and increase the chances of people talking about your song. Am I making any sense? So, if you're an artist and you want to do a consultation, you can sit and rock with me. You know, we can set that up. You know, I'm not hard to talk to. Yeah, I'm a cool guy. You know, what you got to lose? You know, chilling like a villain. That's right. It's the Anytime, Any Day radio show. Samuel Archer, your host, and you're tuned in. And I'm the guy with the soothing voice. And we talk about the things I like to talk about, yes. So I'm wondering what I'm feeling for today in terms of food, you know. Last time I spoke about lentils, you know, lentil and some rice, some fried fish. That was the last thing. Now, I don't know if I want to go fried fish this time or lentil, you know. I might want to go with some pigeon peas. Yeah. You know, I did get into some pigeon peas trouble when I was growing up. Yeah, it was bad. Oh my God. It was bad, guys. It was bad. Yeah. This is where you learn that your stupidity has consequences. Oh goodness. I wonder if I should share this story. I wonder how old I was. I was probably 9 or 10, somewhere around there. I was like, yeah, it might have been like 9. And so my dad had this area he was planting. You would plant your peas and corn together, like, you know, you plant it a certain way. So the corn would spring up at a certain time, and then the peas would spring up, you know, so those were two things you would plant together. And I paid attention and did it the way he wanted to do it. And then I remember it was either myself or my my cousin or somebody I was with, and I wanted to do something else. You know, what am I doing sitting there messing with people peas and corn and all kind of stuff, man? I was like, look. So I dug a hole and poured the rest of the peas in there and covered it up. Oh my God. Lord have mercy. The stupid things you do as a kid. So what did you think happened, guys? Now, I think the peas takes a little while. You know, I don't remember which one takes a while. I think the corn comes up like really quick, and then the peas, you know, it's just like it's slower. It's just, you know. So the peas actually grew. And obviously it didn't look the way it's supposed to look coming up. You know, you just saw a bunch of peas, a bunch of peas, the tree itself coming out of the ground. Like, you're like, okay, how many peas was inside here to get this amount of, you know, it was like a patch, like a peas patch. Just this one area was a peas patch. So of course I had to have a meeting with the God, you know. He didn't kill me on it. It was just he's like, okay, so he brought it to my attention, obviously. So he said, so what happened here? You know when you're in trouble, right? You know, your heart is beating faster, you know, and you're like looking in the sky, you're like, oh my God, I'm dead. I could laugh at it now. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny then. Yeah, it was serious. Yeah, it was rough. But we made it through. Hallelujah. I'm still alive today. I'm still alive today. Amen. Woo. those of you who grew up with parents like that, that, you plant your food and you have your sheep and goat and your cow and you have yard fowl, and then you had the fowl that people would buy, right? So yeah, I had a little bit of that in my life. Had a good but I thought that story would be nice to share. So today I'm definitely some rice, maybe some pigeon peas. That's in the can, by the way. We'll go with what's in the can this time. And maybe some melangin, and some a little bit of callaloo or something, I don't know if I'll, maybe you might take a meat break, just eat the food from the ground. We'll see. We'll see how that works. One of the things I want to try out though. Now, I know how to make potato, like when you want to fry, you want to make your own fries. Excuse me. I know how to do that. I've done the, fry the potato thing before. One time I tried to do the, bake it. There's a way you can bake it. But I think I had failed on that one. So I think I need to get the recipe and really get the vibe with how I can actually bake it, instead of frying it with the oil, bake it so it still tastes like chips, or like, not chips, sorry, like French fries or so. So I'm interested in getting a recipe. I know I can search it up too, but if someone has a really good recipe, I want to try it out where I peel my potatoes and cut them up and put them in the flat pan. But there's a way to do it. There's an approach or a technique or whatever. Feel free to shoot me a recipe and let me try it out. I want it to taste like really, really, really good. It's one of those things that I would love to try. We're going to talk about food here sometimes, So, we're living in a crazy world, where it's just crazy. You go to the groceries, it's, there's the price increase. And it's one thing if the price of something has to increase because of nature or because something happened somewhere and, there's a natural cause for it. But it's one thing when you have a man-made problem where it's not necessary. So what are some of the ways to unplug? One way would definitely be to tune in to the Anytime, Anyday Radio Show. Listen to me. That's one way to go. You agree? I believe so. That's one way to take it. And and hopefully you're unplugging as you listen to the show, you vibe and so on. But I thought I would find 5 things you can do to help you plug, help you relax and give you that time, a little solitude for yourself, So the number one thing that popped up was deep breathing. And by the way, I'm not a medical doctor. Okay, I'm not giving you any medical advice. I'm gonna put a little disclaimer there. I don't want anyone upsetting the Anytime, Anyday Radio Show. We're not trying to mess that up at all, because we're just keeping it real. But it says deep breathing or breath work. I guess it's the same thing. It looks like it. So it says why it works. So it says it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering stress hormones like cortisol. Now, cortisol is that, I think it's that fat, right? It's that it's the visceral fat you get from there. It's like a hormone. It sort of connects to that, I think. So you say it lowers that. It lowers the stress hormone. Breathing, so it says inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 6 to 8 seconds, and repeat for a few times. Repeat it for a few minutes. So that's that almost sounds like a precursor to yoga, right? Those of you who are into the yoga field, I want to hear from you. What are the things you guys do to relax, just to help you unplug? Sometimes you need that maybe that 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. Sometimes you need that to just, pump the energy up a little bit. And especially people like myself. Well, I don't do that much now, but there was a time I would push myself to the end of the battery, like literally. I'll just go right through. And I will need like maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And sometimes I'll throw the timer up. You got to be up to do something else. And I'll put on a little timer or something on my phone. And sometimes that 10 or 15 minutes is all I needed to get through the rest of what it is, I had to get done. But yeah, in terms of the breathing, it'd be good to hear from other people as to what it is, their approach is, Yeah. Now, this is in addition to tuning in to the Anytime, Any Day radio show, by the way. So, don't get it twisted. The number 2 thing it has here, it says time in nature. Time in nature. Interesting. I need to, although I've, it's not really part of my vibe right now. There was a time I would, go for walks and things like that. When I lived in Delaware, there was a 3-mile, there were 2 3-mile walk parks not too far from where I lived in Delaware. And I'll go to these things and walk and spend time in nature, but I haven't done that in a minute in terms of the approach here. So it says here, nature exposure reduces anxiety and improves mood. It says even 20 minutes in a park can help. Yes. I just read that and just went back in time to when I actually did that seriously, So it says here, take a walk in a green space or sit quietly outdoors, unplugged from devices. I like that. Sometimes you just gotta take the phone off, take the radio off or the TV in the background or shut the computer down, give the computer a little break. And, maybe for half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, just zone out, So so spend some time in nature. Now I like listening to, the ocean. You go by the beach or by the bay, either one, and just listen to the water coming in. Now, I don't know about other people, but that does a really, really good thing for me. You know, maybe I'm connected to the sea somehow. Woo! Yes, yes. So, some time in nature is good. Gentle movement is number 3. It says here, example, yoga, stretching, or walking. So it says why it works is physical movement releases endorphins and reduces muscle tension caused by stress. So it says here, take a 10-minute walk or a short yoga stretching session, especially in the evening. Okay. So I do have a few people that, you know, yoga is their thing. I probably have to maybe do a show where they come and talk to us about getting a little relaxation, a little recharge, you know, recharge moment. And they're certified in that conversation. You can have a certified conversation about that. Number 4, it says listening to calming music or sounds. Okay. Now, if you notice, there's a theme here. They're different things, but it's somewhat interrelated, which is kind of cool. So it says here, listening to calming music or sounds can lower blood pressure, slow the heart rate, and reduce anxiety. Okay, I feel you. And it says here, instrumental or nature sounds like the rain or ocean waves at a low volume. I just spoke about that with the whole time in nature thing. Now, I remember one time, my eldest daughter, did she move out already? You know, I don't remember if she had moved out yet. Or she might have been in college, and then she came home. But I noticed one night, she's sleeping, and she had like the forest sounds. She had forest sounds in the night in her room, you know, while she's sleeping. I'm trying to remember I think I happened to pass by the door, you know, so the door is closed. I happened to pass, but you're hearing these sounds. And you're like, what's this? So she was doing this, you know, listening to nature sounds, you know, but this was like in the jungle, you know. And you definitely knew that it was a nighttime vibe or evening time vibe in the jungle. So, you know, that would be good to do, you know, listening to calming music or sounds. And the number 5 one here, it says disconnecting from screens and practicing mindfulness. So it says that constant notifications and blue light overstimulate the brain. So, yeah, once in a while, it's good to shut down the screen a little bit. Practicing mindfulness. So I need to figure out what practicing mindfulness is. So what they're saying here, put your phone away and spend 10 to 15 minutes doing something mindful. Interesting. Like journaling, meditating, or simply sipping tea slowly. Nice. So that's how you practice mindfulness. You know, this reminds me of a little bit, I don't know her personally, but Terry McMillan, the author. I remember reading, I don't remember what book she was writing at the time, but she would be in various places writing, like she's on the train, so she's going to write a little bit there. She's on lunch, she's going to do a little writing there. You may be going back home from work. Many of us that are creative and we're aspiring creatives, we have a day job. Not all of us have the opportunity to actually just think about what it is we want to do all day. We have a hustle during the day to make sure we can keep that roof over our heads and, pay the different bills that we have to pay. And so when you read about how she completed that first book, she didn't have the luxury of saying, I want to go here for a weekend, and which is something that I want to do. I need to go somewhere for like a weekend, maybe like a 3-day, where I could zone in on writing. It's easy to say, but really hard to get done. It's I wouldn't say it's hard. Let's just say it's for many of us, it's not necessarily a practical option sometimes, and sometimes you just have to work within the spaces that you get. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe you got to get up at 3 in the morning and write something, but now this practicing mindfulness. Now I think I've already been doing this. A lot of things I get, a lot of activities I get to complete. I really do it like this, where spending a little bit of time doing something mindful. I didn't know that's what you call it, practicing mindfulness. All right. The tea part, I don't know. I'm just sipping the tea slowly. I haven't gotten into the whole tea thing. But the journaling thing, I can definitely relate to that in there. I haven't really done meditation or, dapped into it like that. So that might be something I might have to look into as well. So if you were wondering, you're listening to the Anytime, Anyday radio show. Samuel Archer, your host, and you're hanging out with me for approximately 2 hours. It's in the morning time, and we talk about the things. I said the things. We talk about the things I like to talk about. We talk about the things. I like that. It just slipped out. The whole broken English vibe. Sometimes you got to break it up. The things. Oh goodness. Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah. Take your mind away. Take your mind away. One of the additional experiences I had with my dad, and he really lived off the land. Even when we lived in New York, we lived in Brooklyn, he would plant in the backyard. He just had to plant something. That's interesting. I don't know if they make them like that anymore. My grandmother was the same way. Ma Vicky, she need to plant something somewhere. She would have a punyan and cut the grass down. She was in her late, in her 80s, going to her 90s, and wanting to plant something. She was active too, Yeah. So he he had planted some cane. He had like a whole area where, you know, he had all this cane and stuff. And, you know, that's where I got my practice from in terms of, you know, how to eat cane. Off the land, you know. So, this one night, well, he had a truck too. He would, I don't think he owned the truck. Did he own it? I gotta go back in time and remember how all of this worked. But I think he had helped a relative of ours get the truck as a business, you know, so he helped in the process there. So this one time, he took the truck, and, you know, it was like a Thursday or a Friday, and we're pulling the back of the truck with cane. He was cutting did like he harvested the cane that day. Well, not all of it, but most of it. We, you know, cut the cane, and then of course, I'm his handyman, right? So we're filling the truck with the cane, you know, that we cut, and then covers the cane and everything. So we went to church Saturday, obviously, those of you who know the vibe. And then Saturday night, he just called me. He said, all right, Sam, Sammy, let's go. And I'm like, I didn't know where we were going. And we went we have an area in Tobago, not too far from where I grew up, called Montgomery, which is, there's an area, and there are two areas, they sort of interchangeable. We have an area called Carnby, and then there's an area called Montgomery. And those of you who know the Tobago landscape, you know, and I grew up in Mount Pleasant, right? So that area there. But we weren't in Bethel. We didn't go all the way to Bethel, right? So those of you who know the landscape, if you're coming from Carnby or you're coming from Mount Pleasant, you would go through an area called Montgomery, and then you'll end up in Bethel. So we didn't go all the way to Bethel. So it was somewhere between Montgomery and Carnby we went to. And there was a guy with a big copper pot, you know. And when I tell you, this is the one that you can go in it and bathe. It was like maybe 5-6 feet wide, one of those big ones. And he had it on like a furnace, and it was a whole new experience. And so there was this other guy that he knew, and he had a grinder. He had some sort of like a thing to put the cane in, and so now I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know we were going to do this thing, you know. So I'm looking, and I'm, you know, obviously I'm learning. And I couldn't believe I'm just hanging out with Pops, with this other guy. And we had some other people that were hanging out with us. And it was a Saturday night hangout. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there might have been an area where breadfruit was being roasted. You know, somebody was roasting breadfruit somewhere, or a little way off. And codfish, right? So breadfruit is roasting, and codfish, you know where the story is going, right? And the gentleman now, he's taking, we have to pile the cane at a certain point, and he's taking the cane and run it through the grinder thing that he had, right? Some sort of a processor. And so when he runs it through, the cane comes out on the other side. It's just a husk. It's like literally flat. Whatever it was, pressed out all the juice out of it, and the husk was coming out on the other side. And then so the juice is now running into this big copper pot that he had with the furnace under it. And that was just all night. These dudes went probably all the way to maybe like 4 or 5 in the morning, like just juicing cane, and just juicing cane. And then after a while we left. It's like, wow, that was, so me, I'm like, I was like, yo, that was kind of nice. And, so it was a really good experience, and like a couple of weeks later, it didn't happen right away. It was like, it took a little time. And, my dad had one of those 2-gallon bottles. It might have been one of those milk bottles. And then he pulled me aside and he said, hey, check this out. So he looked at it, I'm looking at it, and it looked like brown sugar, but in a syrup. Right? So I think it already passed the molasses stage, if that was, part of the process. And he said, this is wet sugar. And of course, he gave me some to taste. That was a really cool experience. And he was using wet sugar. Now, I share that story because I think I had my sugar run in life, and I was looking up wet sugar, and I saw it's a different definition here. Well, probably not just in the US, but internationally, when the term wet sugar is used, it's where you already have the processed sugar, like the white sugar, and you put molasses on it to, I don't know what process is that, but you put the molasses on it, and then they call that wet sugar. And I'm like, okay, I don't know it like that. I know it the other way, where it's brown sugar, but it's in a fluid form. It's like a fluid vibe. And so you can actually, there's a liquid portion of it, and then there's a solid part of it. But the solid part are the crystals forming. So this is probably what it looked like before it actually dried, or, so where you can actually get a spoon of sugar from it. So yeah, it was a cool experience. But the other part of it is, I remember sharing with you guys that I had to take a break from the sugar there for a little bit. And not that I had to, I did it by mistake. I wasn't planning to take a sugar break anyway. I just felt like I wanted to do something different for the coffee. The sugar hits you on a different frequency, in my opinion. But I was doing some research here, and it says here, avoiding sugar for a week can lead to reduced energy slumps, clearer skin, decreased cravings, less bloating, and improved mood and mental clarity. And so when I spoke about using molasses, I was already 2 weeks in. So instead of using sugar to sweeten the coffee, I would use molasses. And I don't make juice every day, or, I was using the sugar. I drink a couple cups per day. So obviously I'm using the sugar to sweeten. So instead of using the sugar, I'm using molasses. And for 2 weeks in, I realized some changes, Now, I can only talk for me. I don't know what it would be for other people. But you see this cravings thing here, decreased cravings. For me right now, the cravings is a wrap. And the bloating is a wrap. I had a bloating issue for a few years now. I'll eat and then just feel just bloated, like swollen, and, it would be like that for a couple hours and then it would go away. But then I had the weight, also had a little bit of weight going on. Not weight like I can't walk through the door, but that's like a little stubborn weight, which I would take care of via exercise, or I would take breaks from certain, maybe a meat break, or not combine meats with carbs, things like that. They would help, but obviously that would just be for a time. Switching to intermittent fasting, that did help, eating once a day at a certain time. It did help. It did help with the bloating and all of that, but it would still catch up to me at some point, so going to the point where I actually switched from using sugar in my regular vibe during the week. By default, I actually ran through all these different symptoms, so it says here you might also experience sugar withdrawal symptoms like headaches, irritability, fatigue, increased cravings for other carbohydrates. So yeah, I did go through that, but not realizing that it was part of the process from avoiding sugar. And of course, you want to avoid sugar where you can. It's not like you're going to totally eliminate sugar. The brain needs sugar, right? Your brain power, it needs glucose, so which is a form of sugar. And again, I'm not a medical doctor, so make sure you do your research on that. But it says here, potential benefits, more stable energy levels. All right. Now, there was one thing I dealt with. I didn't know what it was. If I had to, let's say, sit on the floor or stoop or something like that, when I got up, there would be a little bit of a dizziness. It'd look like you almost want to go, like you want to pass out type of a thing. I forgot the term for that. It's some sort of a pocket something. If that is something you're dealing with, avoiding sugar helps. I do not have that problem anymore. I can stoop down and get up without a hitch, or sit on the floor and get up without a hitch. So if you have a situation where, either you knelt on the floor, or you had to sit on the floor, or you had to stoop down for, let's say, maybe 2-3 minutes or to 5 minutes, and now you're getting up and you gotta hold on the wall, or, stand with a chair and catch so you can start walking. If that happens, it means that the sugar in your system is high. And so you want to start working sugar out of your system, So it says here, your body uses stored fat for energy, leading to fewer energy crashes and more consistent energy throughout the day. All right, so that's one of the potential benefits. You'll start to have clearer skin. That's kind of true. My skin is improving here, and I'm giving you my experience. Okay, all of us, we have different chemical or chemistry. Is different. So of course, you probably have a different experience if you do decide to avoid sugar for about a week. It says here, reduced inflammation from cutting sugar can lead to a reduction in acne and improved overall skin health. Look at that, so it works with your skin. And this one for me is true. Fewer cravings. Fewer cravings. Your body adjusts to not having sugar, which can satisfy your body with fat reserves and lead to fewer sugar cravings. I don't have that burning little internal itch to want to eat something. That has subsided greatly, I must say. And then the bloating thing. And the bloating thing also, in some aspects, is also connected to retaining water in your legs. So it says here, less bloating. It says sugar can cause water retention, so eliminating it can reduce overall bloating and a feeling of lightness. All right, so I would just challenge you guys to try it and see, if it's, and while you unplug, take a sugar break, take a break from sugar. Now, if you're wondering, in the grocery where you can get molasses as an alternative, it's in the maple syrup section. You'll find it where they have the corn syrup and the maple syrup and so on. Normally the molasses is somewhere around there, or they may have it by the sugar. So see if that's there, and work with it if you'd like, So it's just something to throw out there. What else it would do? Your mood and focus would be improved. It says cutting out sugar can lead to better mood regulation, increased mental clarity, and improved focus and concentration. Yeah. Healthier teeth. Look at that. Lowering sugar intake reduces the risk of cavities and improves overall oral health. Look at that. Oral health. So your breath would improve if you lower your sugar intake. Yes. Sugar can contribute to inflammation. So cutting it out can reduce arterial and tissue inflammation. Yeah. What is so interesting to me about this is it's not like you pack whatever you use with sugar. It's like it's not much. Like I wasn't using much sugar like that. It's not like I'm packing, that like I make juice. I make it where it's kind of sweet, but not too sweet. You're there with it. So even that part of it was just too much for my system, which I find that interesting. Because it's not like, I was overdoing sugar, in my opinion. It's like, a little bit here, a little bit there. And that little bit is what took my system over the top. By the way, if you tuning in now, you're listening to the Anytime, Anyday Radio Show. I'm Samuel Archie, your host. And we talk about the things I like to talk about. And we'll continue to spread love. The Brooklyn way. Shout out to my crew in Brooklyn, New York, baby. There'll never be another place like Brooklyn. Yeah, so let's see what else it says here. Potential withdrawal symptoms. Headaches. A common symptom as your body adjusts to the lack of sugar. So look, imagine that, right? You're using sugar, or eating sweet things, donuts and what else? Like pastries and stuff on the sweeter side. And then the carbs. When you eat carbs, it converts to a form of sugar too. So you guys might want to research that. But yeah, imagine you get a headache from that. You can, it's a possible symptom. You'll probably get irritable and mood swings. So you might have a bipolar experience. You may feel more on the edge, anxious, or experience intense, unexplainable mood swings due to changes in dopamine levels. Look at that. Fatigue and weakness. Your body may feel run down and fatigued as it adapts to using fat for fuel instead of sugar. Look at that. So instead of sugar, your body can also use the fat that's stored in the system. Increased cravings. You might experience intense cravings for other carbohydrates such as bread or pasta. I did have that. Yeah. I'm like, I feel to eat some bread. Some bread and cheese. Yeah. But that was for a short time though. It wasn't like, you're feeling for that all the time. It's just, in reference to my cravings, I'm at the point now, I have to remember, did I eat today? It's like literally like that right now. Did I eat anything? So when you can get to that point, like you feel good, you feel full. Well, not that you might feel full. If you're hungry, you're going to feel hungry. But just, being able to go through your day without saying, I need to get something to drink, or let me get a coffee, or let me get this, or let me get that, or some tea, or, get some donuts, or go to Starbucks, or what have you. Again, no pun intended with the brands I just called. But in terms of how you may feel, all of that is going to change. Yeah, well, that's going to feel definitely feel a little different. I do, cognitive issues, difficulty concentrating, or a brain fog can occur as your brain adjusts. All right, so if you're in a little brain fog while you're withdrawing from the sugar use, part of that is something you can expect. All right. So I did some research on the molasses. I said, well, let me see, is molasses a good alternative to use? Now, I haven't explored cooking with molasses. I haven't tried that. So, maybe you can use it like that. Like you can just use it like you did with sugar, right? We'll see. Because if I want to do a pilau, do some pilau, you caramelize the sugar and all of that. Maybe molasses allows you to do that. Maybe we can ask the chefs in the audience in our global village. Is it good to cook molasses? We'll see. So it says molasses, particularly blackstrap molasses, which is the version that I get, can be considered healthier than refined sugar because it retains more vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants from the original sugarcane or beet, such as iron, calcium, and potassium. While molasses still contains sugar and can raise blood sugar levels, it has a lower glycemic index than table sugar and provides added nutrients, making it a slightly more beneficial, albeit still high calorie, sweetener. Okay, so it's still a form of sugar, but it's a healthier choice than the refined sugar. And here I am thinking wet sugar might have been a good thing, right? I'm thinking, hey, maybe I could get wet sugar. Not the other version of wet sugar, the wet sugar I spoke about in my my story growing up. Yeah. So it says that molasses is nutrient rich. So it says blackstrap molasses is a concentrated source of essential nutrients, including significant amounts of iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and several B vitamins. Refined sugar, on the other hand, is largely devoid of these nutrients. And you see the several B vitamins, guys. We need B vitamins right through. If you are not taking B vitamins, you get a B complex. Get B complex vitamin supplements. Make it a part of your day, and obviously speak to your doctor first. If let's make sure you don't have any allergies to it, and if not, you need B1 and all the way up to B12, right? So yes, get that in your system. It says here, molasses contains high levels of antioxidants and refined sugar. Antioxidants are linked to numerous health benefits, such as protecting against inflammation, reducing cancer risk, and supporting heart health. And we only have one heart, guys, so you got to take care of the heart. So that's another good, it's a plus for molasses. Potential for stable energy. The nutrients in molasses may provide a more stable and sustainable source of energy compared to refined sugar. And it has a moderate glycemic index. It says here molasses has a glycemic index similar to honey and slightly lower than table sugar, meaning it can impact the blood sugar levels more moderately. All right. It says it's still high in sugar and calories. Despite its added nutrients, molasses is still a concentrated form of sugar and carbohydrates containing calories. So it says moderation is the key. So yeah, so when I use it in my coffee, it's probably a teaspoon. And again, you don't want to go all the way to the sweet side, but you want to use it in moderation, obviously. But at the same time, it's still a little more healthier and has additional benefits to the system than refined, just the plain refined table sugar. It is important to consume molasses in moderation, especially for individuals managing diabetes or other health conditions that require controlled sugar intake. So again, if you're in that spectrum, maybe you have a fatty liver issue that you're dealing with, or you're close to the type 2, or you are type 2, make sure you get medical advice. All right. And let's see here. See what other good advice that we can get here. Let's see what we have here. So the nutrient content and sweetness vary between different types of molasses. Blackstrap molasses is the most concentrated and least sweet, but also the most nutrient dense. All right, so yeah, you want to definitely rock with the blackstrap. Now, I need to know why they call it blackstrap. Yeah, let's get a little, let's wet the throat a little bit there. So you are listening to the Anytime, Anyday Radio Show. I'm your host, Samuel Archer, and you're rocking with me for approximately 2 hours. And we're almost at the end of the journey on this one here. This is episode 10. Those of you who worked on your poetry Remember we had a poem challenge that we started? Let's see if we can get that situated for episode 11. And obviously I gotta see how this show turns out. I'm testing out a new mic, testing out a new situation here. I got my interface and put a little more oomph into the production of the show. I want the show to really get on that level, so you got to invest in yourself little by little, right? Piece by piece, little by little. Did I ever share with you guys how I started my initial studio? I'll probably make that a story one day. That was an interesting way to go. So it says here, back to the molasses conversation. Blackstrap molasses is a nutritious byproduct of sugarcane production. Unlike refined sugar, it's naturally rich in antioxidants, iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, and vitamin B6, which we did revisit. We did speak about that a little bit. As such, it may relieve constipation, help treat anemia, and support bone and hair health. All the same, numerous other health claims about blackstrap molasses aren't backed by science, and more research is needed in general. If you are interested in using blackstrap molasses to treat a health condition, it's best to first consult a healthcare professional. All right. So, obviously, I'm telling you to make sure that you do your due diligence, working it out. And, so this is something that I didn't plan to go off sugar. In fact, I might have been back on the sugar schedule, but it just turned out that I'm feeling definitely a lot different in reference to my sugar use. And I'm like, hey, maybe I can share this with my audience, and maybe you guys can focus on that and see how it works for you. Prolonged sugar consumption can cause obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver disease, chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and tooth decay. It can also contribute to poor sleep, skin problems like acne, mood changes, and may even lead to symptoms similar to drug withdrawal and addiction. Additionally, high sugar intake can damage cell DNA, leading to accelerated aging. Or should I say accelerated aging? Interesting. There's certain... I've been on a journey for a little while, so I think certain things, I would say, maybe overlapped into something else. Because in terms of switching to how I eat, where I eat between 11 and 5, that's my regular eating window now. And more than likely it's going to be one meal, so that helped my system, but I was still using sugar the way I was using it before. But there was I did lose the weight, but there was a stubborn area there. It got me to a certain point, and there was a stubbornness in the system. So taking sugar out or reducing my sugar intake has helped with that in a major way, which is again, I'm in the process of it. So I'm just sharing the journey as I go. I would have dry elbows. That's another thing that I thought that was interesting. My elbows I would have to put lotion on my, or cream. Let's go with cream, right? And I have to cream my elbows on a regular because it would just be really dry. If you're dealing with dry elbows, chances are it might be a sugar situation that you may want to take a look at. So since I've been lowering that, my elbows, which would be scraping up my long sleeves, I'll put on a long sleeve, and then as I'm moving, I'll just hear the elbow do its thing in terms of the dryness. Yeah, it was crazy. That has subsided. So if you have dry elbows, and you got to keep putting lotion on that area, might be a chance that your sugar intake is up there. So it says excess sugar provides empty calories that can lead to weight gain and obesity. Well, it looking at it, it makes a little sense if the calories are empty. Versus the molasses that has, it has the nutrients carried with it. Insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. And I think the insulin comes from the pancreas. So I think that the insulin has a job that it does. So if your body is being resistant to it, I think it's a hormone that, why don't I look up and see specifically what insulin does here? Right? My dad was a chemist, so let's look for the importance of insulin. Real quick, let's see here. Importance of insulin in the body. So insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas that plays a crucial role in regulating blood sugar levels and maintaining overall health. Okay. So it helps to regulate the sugar. So yeah, if the sugar is causing you to be resistant to the insulin, it means that you're not, it's almost like a pain, how much pain you can take, like what's your pain resistant? So the nervous system tells you that you're at that point where, painfully it's too much, and going beyond that can harm your body. So it's sort of like I guess the same thing in a different way, where the insulin regulates on the inside. So it says glucose regulation. Insulin facilitates the uptake of glucose from the bloodstream into cells, providing energy for the body. Without insulin, glucose accumulates in the blood, leading to high blood sugar levels. So once you're resisting it, then you can actually overdose on the sugar. That's what it's implying to me here. It says here, metabolism. Insulin promotes the storage of glucose as glycogen in the liver and muscles, ensuring an energy reserve. It also stimulates the synthesis of proteins and fats, contributing to metabolic balance, which is what we need. We need, insulin helps with ketone control. It says when glucose is not available, insulin helps prevent the accumulation of ketones, toxic substances produced by the body when it burns fat for energy. So yes, you want that regulated. Brain function. Insulin crosses the blood-brain barrier and provides glucose to the brain. I remember mentioning that earlier in the show. Supporting cognitive function. Cardiovascular health. Insulin helps regulate blood pressure and cholesterol levels, reducing the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Yeah, I'm reading all these big words, and I'm remembering there was a guy that had a problem saying the other name for Tylenol this week. Maybe he needs to lower his sugar intake. He'll be okay. All right. Insulin is involved with cell growth, differentiation, and inflammation. It also plays a role in regulating appetite and mood. See that? Appetite. So insulin plays an important role in what we're doing here. So it says increasing insulin resistance and elevating the risk of type 2 diabetes could result from high sugar intake. So it says the liver, it forces the liver to convert the sugar into fat, which would mess up the job of the pancreas. All right. Heart disease. Overloading on sugar contributes to heart disease by increasing inflammation and blood pressure. And this one is gonna rock those of us that like to take a little sip of the alcohol. Have a little alcohol once in a while. So it says here your liver metabolizes sugar similarly to alcohol, and high sugar intake can lead to fat accumulation, causing fatty liver disease. All right, so that's something you guys would probably want to take a look at for yourself. Do a self-evaluation, if you are feeling a lot of the symptoms I talk about here in the research that I pulled up, you may want to look at lowering your sugar intake, And I was talking to a friend of mine recently, sharing the information, and sometimes you gotta psych yourself out, so it's not that you don't need sugar. You do need sugar in your system, but you want to lower that intake. You want to lower it down, or maybe avoid it when you can. And once in a while, if you get a donut or you get something sweet, once every couple of weeks, it's not going to throw you off the rail. But it's the consistency of keeping that level in your system, and in that consistency, it can have things turn left. When you want things to turn in the right way. Want things to be turned in a way that it's beneficial to you. And these are things I like to look at and talk about, because I want you guys. I want to share the information. Share the information, and if it can help you, my listening audience, in one way or the other. So your health is your wealth, right? Is that the saying? Your health is your wealth. And that's true. Could you imagine where someone has all the money in the world and they, will take that and, if they could pay for something that is life threatening for them, they will do it, So it's not all about money. It's about taking care of our avatar, right? Our living license is the body. So we want to be sure that we want to be sure that we take care of it the best that we can. So, I want to thank you guys for vibing to the Anytime, Anyday Radio Show. It's my pleasure to vibe with you. I know I'm not talking to myself, I'm imagining you guys out in Radio Land tuning in, those of you in the barbershop, the hair salons. You're playing me softly in the office, on the job, and just vibe into the convo. Maybe you're having a quickie while I'm on the radio here. Whatever it is you're doing, do it like it's nobody's business. Until next time, the Anytime, Anyday Radio Show.
You're listening to Muzilog Muzik Radio, home of indie artists.
Keep it locked.